all to come and lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good evening, everyone. Before we move into the student board member report, we're going to ask Dr. Register to offer a little bit about what our students are going to be reporting on. So, Dr. Register?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We are one of 4 urban districts in the country that's been identified to participate in a network to reduce discipline disparities. The program is called Passage, Positive and Safe Schools Advancing Greater Equity, an action and research, an action and learning network. I'm going to distribute to the board members Q&A page about this. The 4 cities participating in this study are Nashville, Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York City. And I'll read just a couple of words about this. The grant is from the Annenberg Institute, funded by Atlantic Philanthropies, a foundation to help people who have been unfairly disadvantaged. Nationally, the student discipline issue particularly has a negative impact on African American and Latino students, who are more likely to be suspended or expelled from school than white students, contributing to academic achievement gap among groups of students. And we were one of 4 districts selected, and the research and action project is going to be outstanding, where we have a lot to learn from our sister districts and feel like this is going to be a great advantage to us. And I think, Madam Chair, our students have had a discussion of this and would like to say something about it.
Perfect. All right. Ms. Bowling, we'll start with you.
The program really focuses on the discipline issues that most schools face. Every day, there are students who are being expelled or suspended due to their actions. The program is supposed to alleviate school discipline issues, which will not only help students, but teachers, principals, families, staff, and other important people. Students who have discipline problems not only hurt themselves, but the students surrounding them in the learning environment. This program will help our students in a very positive, active approach. It also will decrease the percentage of how many students will leave school or enter into the criminal justice center. Filling in these achievement and discipline gaps will help shape, build, mold our Board of Education into one of the top best school districts in the nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Yao.
Chairperson, Ms. Mays, Co-Chairperson, Ms. Shepard, Dr. Register, and fellow board members. As previously stated, I'd like to continue the conversation that we've started about the Passage program and just give a brief report about it. Passage, once again, stands for Positive and Safe Schools Advancing Greater Equity, and it is an action learning network that aims to examine racial and other disparities in school discipline and find ways to move away from punitive, exclusionary approaches that contribute significantly to persistent achievement gaps. So in other words, this is a program that works to give all students, regardless of race, ethnicity, or cultural background, an opportunity to achieve high levels of academic challenges. It also works to teach discipline to students to prevent them from dropping out of school or giving up. This is a program that is currently present, once again, in 3 of the biggest cities in the United States, New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, and now Nashville. And it has had a tremendous effect in the lives of many students. What many students are lacking in schools in our current day and age is a disciplined mindset. For example, statistics show that American African American students are 3 times more likely to drop out of high school than white students, and in addition, Latino students are 2 times more likely. So I love the idea and the mission of this program because it works to eliminate these stereotypes that African Americans, Latinos, or other populations of students face. These stereotypes imply that ethnically diverse students don't have the ability to complete high school. However, with the work already put in by the MNPS School Board, Nashville has taken a great step forward, along with the 3 cities we mentioned before, to show that any student of any background can be taught the skills needed for a post-secondary education. So I believe that as time progresses forward, we as a district will see our graduation rates continue to increase and to see our students flourish in college and for the rest of their lives.
Fantastic. Thank you both so much. Very good reports. And if you would, make sure Ms. Bobo gets your reports so we can add them to the minutes. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And we will move on into awards and recognitions. Dr. Steele.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Dr. Register, and board members. It is my pleasure tonight to recognize the National Board Certified Teachers that are new to the district. 5 teachers in Metro schools are now among the ranks of the most accomplished in the nation. They have earned National Board Certification, a difficult and exemplary achievement. National Board Certification is an advanced teaching credential given only to educators who complete a rigorous application and review process. Carrying this certification, teachers can lend their voices to the national conversation on effective teaching practices and instruction. Thanks to the 5 new additions, Metro School now has 71 nationally board certified teachers. So I'm going to call them, if they're here tonight, to come forward, and we have a certificate for each one. The first one is Rhonda Armstrong from Stanford Elementary. Rhonda, are you here? Okay, come on up. Then we have Julie Dernberger from Neely's Bend Elementary. We have Molly Martin from Cane Ridge Elementary. John Schuler from Jones Padilla. And Marianne Sipe from Old Center Elementary.
Let's give these teachers a hand.
I think I'm next on the agenda also, right? I left it at my seat.
Actually, it's Mr. Majors.
Okay. I'll come back.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Dr. Register, and board members. This afternoon, I would like to recognize 3 dedicated and hardworking individuals here in Nashville that have been active and aggressive members with our Community Achieves work and providing services for our families here in the Metro Nashville Public School System. Mr. Howard Gentry, Davidson County Criminal Court Clerk, the Honorable Casey Moreland, General Sessions Court Judge, Jim McNamara, who will be accepting on behalf of Don Deanner from the Criminal Court Public Defender's Office, and Ruben DePina, who is one of our own community outreach specialists who has helped been the liaison with us through this initiative. The Bringing Justice to You program is a collaboration between MNPS and the Criminal Clerk's Office, the Public Defender's Office, and General Sessions Court that provides legal services in our cluster schools so that families in need of the services can take advantage of the opportunity. This program expunges non-felony criminal records and reinstates driver's license for the parents of MNPS students. During the Bringing Justice to You events, participants are able to meet with the public defenders, Judge Moreland himself, and meet with cluster support team members to be registered for Parent Portal. Since February of 2012, we have conducted 7 Bringing Justice to You events. To date, we have registered over 1,200 of our parents. We have provided direct services to 995, with well over $1 million in records being expunged for our families. This is a restricted event for MNPS families, so it is a direct service to our students. Our goal throughout this process is to improve the life circumstances for our students and their families so that they can go on and be successful in school and in life. So I'd like to recognize these three individuals with a plaque from Metropolitan Nashville Public Schools. Don here. And Casey Moore.
Thank you so much.
And Dr. Steele, you're on again.
Good evening again. It is my pleasure tonight to introduce one of the contracts that you're going to be approving tonight. I believe it's on the consent agenda, is with the Aegis Science Corporation. Aegis is a partner with the Academy of Health Science and Law at McGavock High School. Aegis Science Corporation will become the 6th branded partner in the district, which means they will have naming rights for the academy at McGavock. This brings McGavock's totals to 4. They have one more to go to hit it all the way through the school, and this is the district's 6th. We have partnerships with Tennessee Credit Union, the Academy of Business and Finance at Antioch, the Ford Motor Company Fund at Glencliff High School, the U.S. Community Credit Union, Gaylord, and CMT, all 3 at McGavock. To get this honor, a company must enter into a contract with the Metropolitan Nashville Public Schools at a minimum of $100,000 investment. That $100,000 is not just cash. Usually it is not cash. It is in-kind services, experiences for our teachers through externships, for our students through internships, job shadowing, and I'm going to read some of the things that they've done. While I'm reading, I'm going to ask the CEO and owner of Aegis Science Corporation, Dr. Dave Black, to come forward. And Tina Starr, I'm sorry, I can't read my own writing. Tina Starr, who is also the main contact with Aegis, working with McGavock. Aegis Science Corporations have donated money, lab supplies, and services to the Academy of Health Science and Law, real-world speakers sharing their success journeys in the Academy advisories, planning and participation in Academy real-world experiential learning initiatives such as industry tours for all sophomores, that's a little over 100 students, job shadowing for all 11th graders, another 100 students, and capstone hours for the 12th graders. Laboratory boot camps, classroom demonstrations, lectures for project-based learning, student mentorship on projects, lab improvements, cleanup, etc. And some of those projects will be on display on Thursday at Trevecca University in the Boone Center. It's open to the public at 3, our Project Expo for middle and high school students. Fundraising events such as Lab Fest for the redesign of the existing Academy Chemistry Lab, and that's a big deal. They're redesigning the chemistry labs at McGavock to be state-of-the-art real-world labs. Chairing and participating in advisory boards or other meetings for the Academy. So it's acknowledged by MNPS that Aegis Science Corporation has logged over $321,065 to date through the Pencil Foundation. So this leaves them 0 balance to that naming right target. So also I want to recognize that, some of the Academy staff members. We have Principal Robin Wall, if he'll come forward, and the Academy coach, Miss Paula Barkley. And then the assistant principal, the academy principal, Ms. Shatrina Cathy. So I'll let Dr. Black speak, and then we'll recognize the teachers also that are here.
I was told I have 30 minutes, so if you'll all be just relax.
And I have a gavel.
Well, then I know who's in charge. I want to thank you all for the opportunity for Aegis to partner with the school system. We recognize that our future is a function of your success, and your success is our success. And we thank you for the opportunity to do this. We certainly intend to continue to do this. Just heard Jones Padilla mention we partner with them as well. We have other relationships. But thank you for the opportunity. And on behalf of the 850 team members at Aegis, I really appreciate this opportunity in total for us to work with you all. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, we'll do a picture. I know, Anna, you'd like to come forward for this one, Dr. Register and Cheryl. We also have some teachers we want to recognize. Susan Norwood. I think it's Delissa Dismuke. And Jesse Hartley, if you'll come forward. And we also have one of our Academy ambassadors here, Amanda Ferguson, if you'll come forward also.
And before we move ahead, is Ferris Ali from JFK still in the audience? There was an exceptional young man from John F. Kennedy Middle School that I met. Is he here?
I thought it was Lead Academy.
No, not yet. Stay there. Don't go away. There was an exceptional young man that I met at Kennedy Middle School during Principal for a Day who was, I invited him tonight, and I don't think he was able to make it, so we'll have to get him back out to lead us in the pledge. Now, we're going to move on to Lead Academy. And I'm sure recently everyone here has seen the overwhelmingly fantastic achievement of Lead Academy's high school seniors who have 100% of the seniors have been accepted to a college. And that's no small feat.
Four-year college.
A four-year college. And as much as we love seeing your beautiful faces, I think the audience would like to see them more. So if you want to turn yourselves around, I wanted to take an opportunity to bring these young people here tonight so that you could look at their faces and see 44 of the college-bound students at Lead Academy. I think this is a fantastic opportunity, and we owe them a congratulations. And so in 4 years, I expect to see some graduation invitations coming. Don't all expect $2. Education degrees, there you go. Come out tonight. I'm so proud of you all, and you guys deserve it.
Oh, we're going to go out that door.
Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl. Ah, you get a hug.
How are you?
Sally and others, they look so young.
Oh, yeah.
You know that they're going to be in college next year?
Hey,
It's
wait a
like-
minute, you just wait. No, don't say a word.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I'm so proud to be on the school board. So we will move on into public participation. We have, as you can probably tell, a very full agenda tonight. So what we're going to do is ask that if you are able to combine your topics, if you would do that in appreciation of the board members who have, for me, been up for quite a while and look like we have a couple of hours ahead of us tonight. So the board will hear from those persons who have requested to appear at this board meeting. In the interest of time, speakers are requested to limit remarks to 3 minutes or less. Comments will be timed. Board members will not immediately respond to speakers during the public comment period, but may follow up after the meeting. Please keep in mind that we have quite a number of people on the agenda, and at the end of your 3 minutes, you will hear a bell, and I will ask you to stop. Please do not continue speaking after you hear your bell. I'm going to call the first 3 people, first one up, second one on the next 2 on deck. Angel Lopez, DeWitt Gurma, and Gulsen Bar. I'm going to really tear this name up, so I'm just not going to even say it. But you know who you are. Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Are you ready to rock and roll?
I've been ready since day one.
I love it. That's confidence. Thank you. And you are Angel?
Angel.
You go right ahead, dear.
Okay. Good afternoon, MNPS Board of Education. My name is Angel Lopez. I am in the 7th grade, and I'm in the college graduating class of 2023. I am here because STEM Prep is applying to open STEM Prep High School, and I'm going to talk about why that is important to me and to my family. My mom wants me to come to STEM Prep High because we're just going to have a better education than other students are having right now, and it's just going to be a remarkable experience here at STEM Prep. Also, my sister goes to a public high school. She's a senior and she's graduating this year, and only 23% of their school at Overton High School got a 21 or above on the ACT, and my sister was not one of them. Also, on the first year of STEM Prep, we scored a number one on math growth on the TCAP and a number 2 on reading growth on TCAP. Also, I want to be the first person in my family to graduate from TCAP because graduate from college because none of my family members have been able to graduate from college, and that I just wanted to show them that I can, and that STEM Prep has showed me how to become a great leader and a great student. Also, next year we're expecting to have 400 students at STEM Prep and over 150 students on the waiting list at STEM Prep. Thank you for your time, and I hope you accept our application for STEM Prep High.
Thank you, Angel. DeWitt?
Good afternoon, MNPS Board of Education. My name is DeWitt Gurma, and I am a 6th grader at STEM Preparatory Academy. I shall be this soon part of the college graduating class of 2024. STEM Prep is here because STEM Prep wants to apply to open STEM Prep High School, and I am here to talk about why this is important to me, my family, and me. First, I want to share a little more about my background information. My parents came from Ethiopia, and they didn't have a good education there, and they didn't graduate from college. And I want to graduate from college. Because of STEM Prep, I grew to 10th grade reading level when I started at a 7th to 8th grade reading level. STEM Prep will impact my sister and I because STEM Prep, when they give my sister homework and pushes her, it will help me when I help her with my homework. We can expect great things from STEM Prep High School because STEM Prep Middle School is one of the top middle schools in Tennessee. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I'll pass it on to Gulsen Barari.
Thank you. Gulsen, and before you start, We'll have next up Melinda Zuniga, Miss Mara Rivera, and Joyce Cole. Go ahead, Golson.
Hello, MNPS Board of Education. My name is Golson Barwari, and I am enrolled in STEM Preparatory Academy. I am in the 5th grade, and I am 11 years old, and I shall soon be in the college graduating class of 2025. Today, I'm going to talk about why I believe that STEM Prep High should be opened up. And the main reason is that there is just so much love and compassion from all the teachers and adults at STEM, and they're spending their extra hours off of school to help us succeed in life, and that is just very heartwarming to know. And I would also like to talk about the diversity of STEM Prep Academy. We are a school that consists of 14 different languages and the most diverse school in South Nashville, which is really amazing to hear that the adults at STEM are they want to help people from different ethnicities, cultures, and races to have such great opportunities in life, and I really want that for myself too. And I believe that STEM Prep can achieve the same thing for STEM Prep High. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Miss Melinda Zuniga, and please tell, I apologize if I totally messed up your name.
You did good. Well, good evening, Board of Education, and staff and faculty, and all parents here. I just wanted to come and express, as a parent, how proud I am of the STEM Prep, and would like you to really consider their application for a high school. My daughter is a 6th grader there. When she entered 5th grade, the school really pushed her, and I appreciate the time and the effort of the teachers to continue that with her. And to open up a high school will just continue that legacy of discipline and leadership skills that STEM does offer to their students. I am their cheerleader. I love the school. I love the atmosphere. It's a very inviting atmosphere, so as a parent, I always feel welcome into the school. It never feels like you have to schedule an appointment to meet with them. They always make it very family-friendly, and I just wanted to just express my heart to the staff, to the Board of Education in regards to considering their application for a high school, because I think that would be a great investment. And as you saw with LEAD, I believe STEM can just do that and more. So please consider that, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rivera. Next up, Joyce Cole, Michelle Lane, and Sherry Patterson.
Buenas tardes, señores de la Junta Directiva, padres, alumnos y maestros presentes.
Good afternoon, members of the Board of Education, parents and students that are here.
Mi nombre es Mara Rivera.
My name is Mara Rivera.
Soy una madre orgullosa de tener a mi hijo en la escuela STEM preparatoria.
I am a proud mother who has her children at STEM Prep.
He tenido una mala experiencia en otra escuela.
I had a bad experience at another school.
Para mí fue una alegría enorme saber de la posibilidad de que mi hijo vaya a una high school.
To me, it was a great opportunity and a great chance to find out that my kid could go to a different kind of school.
Con un sistema educativo como lo tiene STEM.
With an educational system like the one STEM has.
Eso significa para mi hijo un futuro mejor, para él salir más preparado para las universidades.
That means for my child having a better future, being better prepared to go to college.
Los maestros en la escuela STEM trabajan duros con nuestros hijos para ser unos profesionales mejores.
The teachers at STEM work really hard with our children to help prepare them and to be better professionals.
Y el seguir en una high school que los ayude a ellos en ese camino, para nosotros como padres es lo mejor.
And to be able to continue at a high school that continues preparing them for this is the best thing for us as parents.
Les pido de corazón, ayúdenos con la high school. Es una oportunidad enorme para nuestros jóvenes. Es el futuro de ellos que están en sus manos.
I ask you from the bottom of my heart to please help us with achieving the goal of having a high school. It is the best for our children. It is the best that they can have.
Gracias por su tiempo. Vamos a entregarles unas cartas que como padres hemos escrito para ustedes.
Thank you for your time. We're going to hand out some letters that, as parents, we wrote for you.
Thank you. Joyce Cole.
Good evening. I'm here to address some of the false information that is going around about the disciplinary actions that are taking place at Nashville Prep. Nashville Prep, when you go, you see not only a structure, but discipline and results that are happening there. When you go into the school, you are basically sign a contract. Not just the parents, but also the students. You are signing on to have that structure, to have that discipline in place where they earn merits and demerits, where you can go to homework club, you can go to detention, on suspension. I mean, you do basically know up front what is going on. Every day our children enter a classroom and they are looking for a prep blog. That is what they are working to. They are looking to be prepared. They are looking to be respectful. They are looking to be engaged. And they are also to be persistent. Each classroom earns that blog each day. And so that is the structure that they take place within this classroom. I have to say that my son was bullied so badly in elementary school that had I not had the choice of Nashville Prep, I don't think he'd be here today. The results that we are talking about are something that the New Passage program really needs to take a look at, because this disciplinary action that they have is not based on race. It is not based on ethnic. It is based on results. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Michelle Lane. Sherry Patterson, Amanda Coops, and Kelsey Grimes are next.
Good afternoon, school board, Madam Chair Lady, Dr. Register. My son has been at Nashville Prep since the beginning, and I hesitated some to come here today, but I'm here because I believe it's imperative that the voices of the parents with scholars at Nashville Prep drive the information that tells the Nashville Prep story. It's not my intent to stand here and attack the Metro Nashville Public Schools, because we all here have some interest in the productive functioning of the Metro Nashville Public Schools, either because we're involved or we have students there. My goal today is to talk to you about the positive experience that our family has had during our relationship with Nashville Prep. And I call it a relationship because that is what it is. We work productively together for the ultimate academic and social benefit of our children. My children specifically have spent their first 5 grade years in private school because the elementary school for which we were zoned was a priority school. We felt that we owed our children more than that. Don't we all owe our children more than that? Since we believe that there is value in the public school experience, my husband and I did not give up hope that the middle school journey would be a turn for the better. But when we were stranded at number 39 on the Academic Magnet Lottery wait list, we felt that our choices were once again limited. Still, we gave it yet another shot and tried a thematic magnet, which failed our son miserably. And then we discovered Nashville Prep. We are happy that we had the opportunity to choose it as an academic option. It's rigorous and it's structured. It's hard. But that was a large part of why we chose Nashville Prep. And that is the key, in my opinion, having the opportunity to choose. Parents deserve and should have the opportunity to choose, even if that choice is to leave a school like Nashville Prep if it proves not to work for their family. But their choice shouldn't then become the choice that that drowns out all the other voices of families who choose Nashville Prep and continue to choose Nashville Prep. For many parents like my husband and me, the academic journey has been varied, but the common thread is that all of us have sought quality academic choices for our children. Our families' voices and stories of choice are an important fiber of the MNPS quilt and deserve to be the voices that are heard as a balanced part of the story of choice at Nashville Prep.
Thank you, Ms. Lane. Ms. Patterson?
Good afternoon, school board members and everyone in the gallery here. My name is Sherry Patterson, and I have somewhat of dual citizenship. I have a scholar at Nashville Preparatory as well as Liberty Collegiate. My husband and I are raising both of our sons, and I don't feel like that we have been fairly represented here with the board. I have notes that I have written, but the main thing I want you to know is this is not the comparison of apples and oranges. This is apples to apples. Whether you like Golden Delicious, Fuji, Red Delicious, or Macintosh, if you're not in this room because you want the best education for all the children of Nashville, you need to be somewhere else, in my opinion. My son, as well as Miss Lane, one of my sons attended a private school because of an issue with an elementary school. He was working towards, and our family was working towards the point where we could get him to 5th grade so that he could enter into a charter school. He has been at Liberty Collegiate since August of last year. His grading level has jumped almost a grade and a half. And that not only speaks to his persistence and determination, but it speaks to the charter schools. They push and they find the button inside of your child. The button is there. You just have to know how to maneuver it. The choice for us was one where we had to make sacrifices. It was not easy for me to leave a job, to drive 60 miles a day, to take my son to a school where I knew he was safe. But that's what we chose to do. Everyone doesn't have that opportunity. And you should not have to have that option. It should not be something that you have to do. My older son is at Nashville Preparatory. We chose Nashville Prep when Nashville Prep was on paper only, and we fell in love with the concept. He came out of Metro Nashville's Encore program. So the whole idea that everyone at a charter school is behind is another falsehood. There are few, but I don't have time to address them all. But what I want you to know is I stand on behalf of the Patterson family in choice for Nashville, not just for my family, but for all families. Because if you're only here for your child, you're in it for the wrong reason. It's for all the children. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Coops, I will ask that you hold your applause until the end. Ms. Coops, Kelsey Grimes, and then Jamise Cox.
Hello, my name is Amanda Coops, and as a former Metro School student, I grew up in East Nashville. I went to Stratford High School. The 4 years I went in that school, we were on probation for low test scores. During that time, I took biology class in 10th grade, in which I made 100 on my report card every 6 weeks for the whole school year. Because of that, it was because of me going to school is how I made the 100. It was open book, open chapter, open test. I mean, there was no teaching and hands-on or anything like that. With that being said, my children, I have 2 daughters that are in school right now, went to Metro schools, and I knew what I was looking for, you know, in schools. I knew what was going to happen. I know teachers want to get their amount of students to pass and so forth so they can keep their jobs or whatever. But my children, they started off, you know, like not making such good grades in the school in Nashville Prep. I mean, it was a struggle. My oldest daughter is ADHD. She was told in her 4th grade class, 3 teachers told her that she was not going to make it through the first year of Nashville Prep, which she did, and she is very advanced in all of her TCAP scores, both years that she's been going. Nashville Prep doesn't give their students grades for showing up for school. They work for them. My daughter right here struggles in math. A couple weeks ago, her teacher called me at 8 o'clock in the evening and said, "Is Kamisha with you?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Can she be on speakerphone?" I put her on speakerphone, and she called her just to tell her that she made a 90 on her math test. Somebody is that excited about my child making grades and passing. I mean, you can't get that. I never had a teacher in Metro schools tell me, "Oh, you did such fabulous." I mean, make it out their way to call my parents or anything like that to let them know that, their children is succeeding, as well as when she's not. I are on text message and phone calls every day with the school to make sure my kids are doing what they're supposed to do. I'm a little nervous, but I don't think that me growing up in East Nashville, I didn't have a choice to go to another school. So I had to go to that high school. My children have a choice now. I can put them where I want to. I don't have to live in the ghetto or wherever. I can buy me a house and go live somewhere else and still be middle class or poor or whatever category I'm in. But I still want my kids to have a good education. I want to be able to, when my 4-year-old gets older, I want to be able to put her in school as well. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Grimes? Kelsey Grimes? Going. Jamise Cox? And Tyrese Hunter and Talani Hunter are up next. Ms. Cox, go ahead.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Jamise Cox, and I am a business owner here. I own a Unique Quality Marketing, an entertainment company here. And we've moved here from Atlanta back in 2009, myself and my son, and I'm a single mom. And I worked really hard to sacrifice to try to make sure my son could get the best education that he possibly could, because at the age of 4, they diagnosed my son with ADHD. And so they began to, instead of in pre-K teaching him his fundamentals of ABCs and numbers in Georgia, they only said that he needed social skills. So when he went into kindergarten, he did not know ABCs or numbers. Okay, and so when we came here, we found a school that I thought would be great, and it was a public school, and they really worked with Walter, and they nurtured Walter, and they loved on Walter, but they didn't challenge Walter. Walter was bored, and he was being bullied, and they didn't know why he didn't want to come to school every day, But by the time we left 4th grade at that public school, the teachers hated to see him leave, but my son was in 4th grade reading on a 2nd grade level. And he was also still kind of struggling using calculators. When I grew up 4th grade, we were learning our tables, multiplication tables, whereas they were letting him use a calculator in 4th grade. And so they told my son, for the first time, it was the first time he ever heard the word ADHD, because he sat in on the IEP meeting. First time he ever heard ADHD, first time he ever heard that he was in a resource class, because I didn't want to stigmatize my son to where he would believe or think and start thinking that he was something that couldn't make it because of a title that people put to his name and these kids' name. He thought he had a food allergy to sugar, and that sugar just made him hyper, and that's what I told him. And instead of saying, okay, you're going to resource today, he thought he was going to just get some individualized attention to help him with his classes for extra studies and stuff. I told him he just learned different, But when they told my child he would not get a high school diploma, but he would only get a certificate and never graduate high school, another challenge came to me that I was willing to take on. And that was to see the best way that I could possibly let my son be as normal as he could possibly be and succeed. He's so smart, so bright, so talented. He sings, writes songs and everything, So we found Nashville Prep. Actually, Nashville Prep found us way out in Brentwood. I got something in the mail. Postcard, and I came and I met with Mr. Little and tried to find out about the information and such.
I have to stop you because we have a lot more on the agenda. I'm so sorry.
Let me just close out, okay? Well, Walter is now, he scored the highest on his TCAP in his class for 7th grade, and he's now reading 7+ grade level. This school has nurtured Walter, and he's bypassed any expectation that public school ever thought he would ever have.
Thank you, Ms. Cox. Thais Hunter?
Hi. Thank you for allowing us this opportunity to speak about the readiness level and the tremendous support we've received at Nashville Prep. I'm a speech pathologist. I've been practicing for approximately 20 years. My husband and I both are master's level educated. I worked as a contractor in Metro Nashville Public School as a speech language pathologist for 3 to 4 years. I've witnessed kids get to middle and high school become so frustrated that you couldn't pay them to pick up a book. I'm a founding parent of Nashville Prep. Before coming to Nashville Prep, Talani was at Lighthouse Christian School. Initially, I was extremely nervous about her attending Nashville Prep for fear of disciplinary problems. I worked at the downtown campus of Tennessee State University. Nashville Prep was housed there for 2 years, and after observing them dedicate 2 weeks to disciplinary policies, I became extremely at ease and knew that my daughter would be safe. What's considered as horseplaying could easily cause her to be knocked down. More than we can mention, she is not feeling well. She's not feeling well actually today. I receive frequent phone calls and may have to go in. Last year in October, she had to have emergency abdominal surgery. Surgery went well, but the next day she coded and had to be placed in intensive care unit. Persistence and perseverance did not stop at the intensive care unit for the staff and teachers of Nashville Prep. Here's a picture of one of the teachers in the intensive care unit working with her, reading with her, reciting and just teaching, making sure some of those things that she had missed for the day were being reviewed. Ms. McDonald, along with others, were at the hospital in the intensive care unit every day, teaching, reading, reciting. This was after their 7:30 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. school days. Yes, I felt horrible texting them to let them know that she was waiting for them and ready for them to come in. But because she missed so many days, I was extremely uncertain of her TCAP scores that year. Once she returned, they were relentless in presenting missed instruction. Because they practiced what they preach, she scored 100% on TCAP vocabulary, and she was either proficient or above in other areas. Homework is intense, but she persists. Sitting all day with 2 titanium rib implants times 2 surgeries per year can be exhausting, but she persists. The numerous phone calls and visits that have been very daunting, but it's our responsibility. Whether it's a good phone call or a bad phone call, we show up and we do what we have to do to attend to our child. I appreciate every last attention to detail that they've shown our child and our family and other kids at that school. I've observed them personally for 2 years. I worked maybe 2 minutes away from Nashville Prep. I walked the halls last year, the year before, and I've walked the halls this year, and it's a great program. She is being afforded a free and appropriate public education. Please don't take that opportunity away from her.
Thank you, Ms. Hunter.
Thank you. Talani, would you like to speak?
Talani? Eric Vale, Elizabeth Vale. Hello.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Eric Vale, and I am a 5th grader at Nashville Prep. I am here today to tell you about my experience at Nashville Prep and my future goals. First, I want to talk about the great things at my school. My first day at school, I was nervous since I was starting middle school. But my teachers quickly made me feel comfortable. I naturally love helping, so speaking today is what I enjoy. What I have learned is how to do algebra. In algebra, we use numbers and letters. At other schools, it used to look hard, but my teachers at Nashville Prep explain it to me and make it easy. Have you ever seen the show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? I asked my brother's teacher about the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. The 13th Amendment is slavery is illegal. 14th Amendment is all men same right. The 15th Amendment is all men can vote. After she thought about it, she responded with she didn't know. After that, I feel shocked but happy that I was learning at my school. I feel safe at Nashville Prep because they would not let a fight happen. If someone is bothering me, I can raise my hand with an O symbol, and the teacher will come over and ask what happened. Before I come to Nashville Prep, I did not like reading books. Now, I like to read books because we are rewarded through the AR system. The thing I like the most is that if you read 1 million words and pass your AR test, you get a t-shirt that I can wear instead of my regular shirt that says I read 1 million words. Right now, my favorite books are the Hunger Games series. It only takes 2 or 3 weeks for me to read each book. Reading has helped me think about the future. When I graduate from college, I want to become a police officer that has a canine unit. I am here today with my mother and father to talk about why I love Nashville Prep. My little brother who is here and will also be attending Nashville Prep next year as a 5th grader. Thank you for listening to me. I officially welcome you to visit Nashville Prep in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth Vale, Elizabeth Akunde, and Frida Goodner. Elizabeth Vale? Moving on. Elizabeth Akunde? Moving on. Frida Goodner? Moving on. Larissa Majors? Monte Simpson? Are you Mr. Simpson? Okay. Lily Vasquez? And after that is Jaquetta Bright and Chris LaPietra. Ms. Vasquez, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, everyone, for giving me the choice to be able to speak out on how I feel. I thought about this all day long. What can I say to let you know how I desperately feel? I am so proud of my daughter for being in Nashville Prep. The first time in the first metro school, she was very well attended, but as middle school gets on, as all the parents in here worry where they're going, do we have to depend on lottery? That's going through all my mind this whole time that she was going to be going to middle school. She's been at Nashville Preps from 5th grade to 6th grade, and when I first met all the teachers there in our first meeting, I knew this school was for her. As parents, we want our child to be able to grow up to be standard citizens, well respected and well honored, and I do believe Nashville Prep is the perfect school for that. Thank you, all of you, for listening to me and giving me this choice, not taking this choice away from me. Thank you for allowing my daughter to become a good student. When I first met the schools there, they addressed my daughter as a scholar. That made me feel really proud. That really gave me perspective that my daughter is going to be a good citizen as long as you allow me that opportunity and her. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bright?
Hello, how are y'all doing today? I just want to say just a little bit on behalf of Nashville Prep. This is my son's first year. It was challenging and it's sometimes frustrating, but at the same time very, very rewarding. My son was born hearing and speech impaired, and he wasn't able to hear until he was 6, and he wasn't able to hear until he was 4 and talk until he was 6. He entered the 7th grade this year, and he was only able to read at a 2nd grade level. Haven't been a full year yet, but now from going to a 2nd grade level, he's went now to a 5th grade reading level, which is excellent for him. He did go to a metro school beforehand, and because he was well behaved and he was a people pleaser, they just kept pushing him along and pushing him along. My son could barely read, write. He couldn't even write a paragraph or a short story. But now, since he's been going to Nashville Prep, he's reading well, he's more confident, he's writing, he's just a whole different person, and he's changing for the best, and I just can not anticipate how he's going to be next year. I feel that he will be able to go to college. He will succeed. A lot of teachers said that he probably would never talk, or he would never graduate, or he would pretty much amount to nothing. But my son has proven that over and over again, and this year he's blown everybody out the water with the great teachers that he has and the great support, and they focus on him as an individual student, not as a whole. They pretty much target what he needs more work into instead of just the overall curriculum. So I just want to thank Nashville Prep. Thanks for being there for my baby, and thanks for not giving up on him. And I'm just glad that he will not turn out to be a statistic, and he will not slip through the cracks. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Chris LaPetra? Christy Hoskinson? Maya Ramirez? Kim Milliken? Cindy Magana? Maribel De Leon? Lakeisha Marsh? Are you Miss Smalley?
I'm Miss Milligan.
Miss Milligan, go right ahead.
Hi, and thank you for allowing me to speak. My daughter goes to Intrepid College Prep, and I have so enjoyed her going there. I feel like she's getting the education that she so deserves. I feel as Intrepid is an answered prayer. I've worried since she was born what I was going to do about her education from 5th grade forward. Elementary, I was pretty satisfied with the public school that we were zoned for, and so I was worried about 5th grade and forward, and the year that she's in 4th grade and I'm not knowing what to do, and I'm wondering if I can find a private school that she can go to, and the people from Intrepid came to my door and said, you know, they're starting this new charter school, and I'm hem-hawing going, oh, I don't know what to do, and then I went, wait, you asked for it, and then it's here, and it's their first year, and I feel like the teachers there are great. They love the children. It's obvious they love the children, and they're there for the kids. If the kids have a problem, my daughter has test anxiety, and the teachers tell her stories about how when they were children and how, you know, she can do different things to try to appease her anxiety, and it's just really helped her to be there, and she's glad to be there. I didn't realize I could bring her here, or I would have. She would have loved to have been here. But I thank you guys for listening, and I thank Intrepid.
Thank you, Ms. Milliken. Last call, Cindy Magana, Maribel De Leon, Lakeisha Marsh, Jean Smalley. That concludes our public participation. Excuse me? All right. And what's your name?
Jean Smalley.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank the members of the board for their service. I would also like to acknowledge the children that spoke today. Thank you for this opportunity to share with you how I feel about Nashville charter schools. I would like to say that I am in full support of the education and family support that Nashville Prep offers us as a family. I enjoy the discipline and the rigor. My son has grown leaps and bounds intellectually and emotionally. His self-esteem has improved because he is getting taught to love himself by people that love him. I think that I can speak clearly for my Nashville Prep family that Nashville Prep is part of my family. The reoccurring theme for today has been love. Please, please don't take away what we love. My son loves Nashville Prep, my wife, his sisters, his grandmother, and I love Nashville Prep equally. If I can speak again for some of the audience members, we love our Nashville charters. And I have one more thing to say. My son will get me if I don't. He told me to tell you all that he's reading on a 12th grade level. Thank you.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, we moved announcements to the bottom of, that concludes our public participation. We moved announcements to the bottom, so we will go ahead with announcements after we do consent agenda. All right, moving on to action items, Ms. Shepherd.
The consent agenda. 1A, approval of minutes for 1/30/2014 special call meeting and 2/11/14 regular meeting. B, recommended award of contract for McGavock High School fire safety upgrades, Carrie G. Campbell, Inc. C, recommended award of contract for Hume Fogg High School gymnasium addition, D.F. Chase, Inc. D, recommended award of contract architecture for New South Nashville Pre-K Center, Allard Award Architects, LLC. E, recommended award of contract master plan study for Hillwood High School, Perkins plus Will and Hastings, Architecture Associates LLC. F, recommended award of contract master plan study for Hillsborough High School, Perkins and Will Artifice LLC. G, recommended award of contract for Schwab Elementary School gym, HVAC upgrades, Advanced Mechanical Contractors, Inc. H, Amendment A-extension of contract for material testing, S&ME, Inc. I, Amendment A, extension of contract for material testing, Southern Consulting, LLC. J, Amendment A, extension of contract for material testing, Beaver Engineering, Inc. K, Amendment A, extension of contract for material testing, PSI, Inc. L, change order number 3 for district-wide maintenance, repairs, and general construction, Glencliff High School natatorium renovation, Carrie G. Campbell, Inc. M, change order number 4 for district-wide maintenance, repairs, and general construction, Julia Green Elementary School soccer field, Southland Constructors, LLC. N, replacement order number 1 for Hume Fogg High School window replacement, Southland Constructors, LLC. O, supplement number 1 for Madison Middle School additions, Thomas Miller and Partners. P, awarding of bids and contracts. 1, Aegis Alliances Corporation, Inc. 2, Bell South Telecommunications, LLC, DBA AT&T Tennessee. 3, Brentwood Services Administration, Inc. 4, Details Nashville, LLC. 5, Education Networks of America, LLC. 6, Ferguson Enterprises. 7, Fred J. Miller, Inc. 8, Insight Public Sector. 9, Kevin Montgomery. 10, RNA Solutions, Inc., Randa. 11, the Center of Applied Linguistics. 12, Thomas Torres, Inc. 13, Vanderbilt University Center for Science Outreach. And Q, recommended approval of request for compulsory attendance waiver. Madam Chair, I move that the consent agenda be accepted as read.
There's a motion on the table. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Shepherd. And we are going to move on to number 2. Dr. Brannon.
Yes. A portion of the February 18th Naming Committee meeting centered on diverted mail deliveries for Hickman Elementary that are occasionally delivered by mistake to the former elementary site, which is now leased by Spectrum. In an effort to preclude future errors in delivery of mail to Hickman Elementary, the committee unanimously voted to refer to the leased site as the Ironwood Building. The committee strongly recommends that the board approve this change.
As read.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Any discussion? Motion's on the table to recommend to rename the old Hickman building at 3125 Ironwood Drive to the Ironwood Building from the Naming of Schools Committee. There's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Dr. Brannon. Dr. Register.
Madam Chair, members of the board, we've been some weeks now in conversation with potential partners for the expansion the creation of a third model pre-K site. And it's my pleasure tonight to introduce this to you. I want to ask Brenda Steele and Lisa Wiltshire to come up to the mic, please, and to be prepared to discuss the recommendation to open a third pre-K site at Casa Azafran in partnership with Conexion Americas and Renata Soto. And I'll ask Brenda and Lisa to say a few more words about the recommendation that's being made.
Okay. Well, good evening. We are delighted to be presenting for recommendation to you, the Board of Ed, a third site for a pre-K center located at Casa Azafran. I know you got some general information about this, but I just want to reiterate to you what a delight this is and an honor it is to be working with leaders, the leader, Renata Soto, who's here with us tonight, and her staff and board, as well as my colleagues in Jesse Register, who not only believe that diversity is an asset, but work every day to empower families so that we can all as a community reap the benefits of their contributions, especially the students and families in particular that have been disenfranchised. So there is only good things that can come from this partnership. I will let Brenda, before we bring Renata up, tell you a little bit more about why we're specifically excited about this site.
Good evening, everyone. I am definitely excited about this site. As you all know, that I am in, as far as pre-K is concerned, I think that our growth is very important for the district. This third site will not get us where we want to be, but it is a beginning. We would like to add 80 students at the site, so that would put us up to 540 students at our 3 sites. So I think you have information about that. But I think the partnership is going to be the most important venture of all, because not only are we going to have the partnership with the Casa Azafran, but also with Fall Hamilton. That will be the partner school, so we'll talk about that a little bit more. But what I'd like to say is I'm very appreciative of Dr. Register's leadership in us getting this started and helping us to find a third site. But most of all, I'd like to invite Renata Soto up for a moment just to talk about this partnership with us. So I'll let her come up.
I am very excited to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to share in the excitement with your colleagues from the staff at MNPS. Unfortunately, I've never been at a government meeting that is going faster. So our board members who were supposed to be sitting here with me thought that we probably were going to be a little bit like 50 minutes later in the agenda. So they're all on their way, stuck in traffic, but I want to let you know that in spirit, our board chair, Steven Zralik, is on his way. Jeannie Pupel-Walker, your own employee and our vice chair, is here with me. Adriana Bialostoshki, a pediatrician at Vanderbilt that serves Latino families and exactly the kinds of kids that will benefit from this pre-K and understands better than no one else on our board the investment that pre-K means for our children. Joy Hatch from Skanska and Pepe Nunez. So I want to tell you that when Dr. Register called talking about the possibility of our community center being a third site, I really didn't sleep that night. We have, in the trajectory of our organization in 12 years, have had very great milestones of excitement. One being the highlight of the opening of our community center in December of 2012. We have brought together 9 nonprofit organizations under one roof, and we have a wealth of resources and energy, not only to provide services to the immigrant community of South Nashville, but really to be a welcoming place for all Nashvillians. I brought something to leave behind, but I just want to let you know that what excites us about having a pre-K classroom and model program at Casa Azafran is for those teachers, your teachers, to get those kids earlier in their life. But we are as excited to get the parents also early. We have been a partner of Metro Schools since 2008 with our Parent Engagement Program, a nationally recognized program that we started at Overton High School, and that since then we have implemented in several elementary schools, middle schools, and high school. And I can tell you that as proud as we are of the results that we have achieved through that program, by the time that we are finishing that very impactful program with the middle school parents and even more with the high school parents, always the first comment and the biggest realization for them is, this has been great. They have so many new tools now to be engaged in their kids' education and support your teachers and your principals in that trajectory for success in school. But we wish we would have had this earlier. For many of them, if they have young children, they get excited about all the things that they're going to do differently and all the things in which they now know they can be engaged. But for the ones that have kids that are older, you can see sort of the sense of a missed opportunity. And so as we are excited that your teachers and your staff will have an opportunity to create a model innovative place where we can bring best practices to work with English learner kids, we are so excited that we, our Conexión Americas and the partners at Casa Safran, will also have the chance to work with the parents earlier. We offer English classes. We have a full primary health clinic by United Neighborhood Health Services that does from well checkups to shots during the winter. We have mental health services provided by the Family and Children Service, which serves children, young kids, and adults and families. We have Financial Empowerment Center by United Way in the Mayor's Office that helps low and moderate income families with their finances. And we are excited, and I know that that's what Dr. Register also sees in this vision, that those families have the opportunity to be in a comprehensive, holistic community. When they drop that child in school at that pre-K class, that parent, we hope, will just park around and stay for an English class or go for a well checkup or take a small business class and really take opportunity of all the resources available there. We are really excited of the possibility of working with you to bring best practices to Nashville. We know that we have a golden opportunity to work with children who can tell us much about how to take these innovative practices to other pre-K centers. As you said, this is just the beginning, and we really hope that you bless this vision of Dr. Register. We are eager to be your partner in learning and making this the best pre-K center in Nashville, and I hope that you support this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments, Dr. Register?
Madam Chair and members of the board, I think it goes without saying that we want to wholeheartedly support this expansion to this third center and open our pre-K facility for 80 students there.
Is there a motion?
I move.
Second? Okay, the motions has been made and properly second. Any discussion? Mr. Hayes, and then Mr. Pinkston, and then Ms. Shepherd.
I'm just I'm trying to understand timing and budget constraints. I assume that if you're negotiating a lease with Casa Safran as the lessor, the lease would be pending funding, which we won't know about until June?
Correct.
Correct. So can you talk about the lease term? What kind of term you're negotiating?
We're still in negotiations with that. There are a couple of options that we have. As the building is, the structure's complete, but the interior has to be designed and put together. So there are a couple of options that we have about doing that, whether we do that as a part of a capital budget item or whether Conexión does that. And that, of course, will have an impact on the length of the lease, the term of the lease, and also we think have an impact on the cost per square foot for leasing the facility. We've had our staff there. Ken's been there and has looked at that and is working with them now to develop that. But our recommendation will come very quickly. You approved earlier tonight in the consent agenda our employing or partnering with the architect who's the original designer of the building, and we don't see many roadblocks. Of course, there is an expenditure involved, and we'll bring that, and this agreement tonight will, of course, be pending budget approval to build out the facility.
And then I guess a lease would come back before us at some point in the future as well.
Yes, absolutely. Both will come back before you.
Mr. Pinkston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have a question so much as just a comment and a thank you. So I'm obviously wildly supportive of this concept. Casa Azafran, I'm honored to serve the area that Casa Azafran represents, and it's also the area where I grew up. I just wanted to say thank you to Dr. Register for the vision. This happened in a really unique way. We were over there. He took the time out in early December to go meet with the leadership of Casa Azafran and some other community leaders to talk about our English language learner strategies, and gracious enough to take time out of the day, go meet with anybody and everybody, as he always does. We walked out of the building, and he turned around and said, "I wonder how much space they have here." And I said, "Why? Why would we do it?" He said, "I'm thinking about a model pre-K center." And I said, "That's a huge idea. Thank you for having the vision." So I just want to recognize that it takes a special kind of leader to just kind of step out, of the situation, kind of look at something and immediately connect the dots to what it could become. And so I just want to say thank you. I don't get to tell that story very often, but that's how this got started, and I'm so privileged to be an observer as it progressed.
Ms. Shepherd?
I too want to take the opportunity to say thank you to Ms. Steele, Ms. Wiltshire, Dr. Register for this. In today's Tennessean, there was an excellent editorial piece about the value of pre-K education. And I'm forwarding that to everyone who's a naysayer for pre-K education, because I think that article succinctly said why we need pre-K education. It was very well done, and thank you all.
Ms. Spearing?
I want to
Dr. Gentry.
also congratulate Dr. Register for his vision that it will change the lives of so many of the students that we teach. And it will completely change the trajectory of 74% of our kids that will be coming into our schools. And I see this, I see the expansion and the idea of everyone who wants pre-K receiving that. I see that as the centerpiece of our literacy program. So I join Will in his excitement, and I think we're all thrilled that we are embarking on this adventure. Thank you.
Dr. Gentry.
Shift the tone before your head gets any bigger and you fall over in your chair. This is will be our third site. So can you speak a little bit about coverage from a district perspective, capacity, and where we still see, either geographically or just by the numbers, our gap in meeting this need?
So we still have a large gap. We have currently 2,500 students in pre-K. This would add 340 students. And compare that to our kindergarten enrollment, which is over 8,000 students. So there is still a large gap. We want to partner with Head Start. They serve about 1,400 students, but when you add those numbers together, and we want to partner with high-quality private providers. It's not about us taking over the program. It's about developing partnerships and serving our children. So we're very much in a growth mode, and I think this is a great start for us. These will be truly model schools. A great start for us, a great curriculum. We have a steering committee that Brenda Steele and Lisa Wiltshire have put together that brings great minds to this table to help plan this. So I'm as excited about this as anything we've done in a long time. Big gap. Still about 50% of the children who are not served at this time.
Any other discussion? Ms. Froeg?
I just want to make a quick comment to say that not only do I think it's wonderful that we are expanding our pre-K program, but also I look at this model and see this as something we should be doing in many other schools where they're offering the mental health counseling and, the health clinic and the legal service is just really wonderful that they're providing these families all of these great wraparound and support services, and I would like to see that expanded throughout our system.
It is, this particular location is a wonderful opportunity because of what Casa Azafran and Conexión Americas brings in the leadership of Renata Soto and her board. And I appreciate the recognition for me, but this is a no-brainer. This one will be outstanding, and I'm very excited about it, and I hope we can move through the process, Mr. Hayes, so that we can open this early in the fall.
Any additional discussion?
Brings up an excellent point, and it's something that, we get an opportunity to talk about very rarely. And that is this concept of wraparound services in our neighborhood schools. And it's, one of the things that, especially in North Nashville, I try to bring up every time I get an opportunity. And I know that Fred Carr and I have had an opportunity in another forum to highlight, I think, for some very up-and-coming and current leaders in this city, that the hurdles that we're trying to overcome, if you talk about academics, it's like 6th or 7th on the list. When you talk about all the other issues and all the other dynamics that our students come into our schools with, when you're talking about 83,000 kids, over 75% of which are coming with either financial, social, or physical challenges. So my question, and as Ms. Froke pointed out, that this really isn't the pre-K model, it's the center as it exists today.
Correct.
At Casa Azafran. And so my question is, are we going to put things in place to sort of measure the inherent impact of the environment? Not just the pre-K program, but having a pre-K for students located with these wraparound services built in. And so I don't know that we've thought about it, and I know that our piece is the pre-K program, but if we can measure and put in some parameters to kind of monitor this as a cohort. And so it's not just a model for pre-K, it's a model for a neighborhood school with wraparound services readily available for the students and their parents.
Absolutely, and there is very much a research component built in. Lisa?
Yeah, I was just pointing to Tony Majors as well, because we absolutely will be looking at measures and studying that. And, this isn't the only site with wraparound services. I'm going to let Tony address the Community Achieves and some work that's in development now at many schools, but we're also looking at some kind of model with wraparound services for our other pre-K center sites as well. Tony.
So, Ms. Gentry, the wraparound service model, we've been actually developing that and implementing for well over 3 years. So we have 3 pre-K sites that we're discussing today. Of course, Casa Azafran, I can't ever say it right. Azafran. Sorry, Renata. But they already had the existing services on their site location. Bordeaux already has a family resource center. We already have started the process and engaged in conversations regarding whether or not a Community Achieve site person or a family resource center will be applicable for Ross. The issue with Ross is there are also 3 additional community-based family resource centers in the immediate East Nashville area. So we're going to be more specified in how we move forward with the Ross program to identify the services that are needed. Now, you mentioned the healthcare services. It was only until this past summer that we lost 10 full-service clinics in our school system that were in our schools. The reason that we lost those was, number one, because of changing the legislation and some zoning issues. We already engaged in conversation of looking at the contractual issues to try and bring back those 10 community-based health centers, again, to provide direct services in the community. A Community Achieves was built to address the exact issues that you just brought up. We are looking at the wraparound service model, but it's not just community-based only. What we're doing in Nashville differently is that we are building the internal capacity with the support services office and other services such as Chief Operating Officer Fred Carr and his services, financial officers and others, so that we're looking at the whole comprehensive model. It's both internal and external, and Community Achieves lives in the middle. So this work will be ongoing for years to come.
Don't forget Metro water services and other utilities and okay. I can't bring them in.
Ms. Frogue?
also want to just follow up on that and say why I think it's so important that we're providing this great idea for this Community Achieves program that we desperately need. If you look at research, it shows that schools are only affecting a small piece of the pie. You know, you've got about schools being able to affect about a third of academic outcomes, and then outside of that are all of the outside of school factors that that affect student learning and their preparedness to achieve. And so I think, we've got to do our part as a school system, but it's vitally important that we also have community support for what we're trying to do. And my day job is at Room in the Inn, which is a homeless shelter here, and it's a great program. It reminds me a lot of the things that you're trying to do, in the sense that Room in the Inn partners with a wide variety of nonprofits throughout the city, a lot of different programs, so that they can meet each individual at their point of need. Because if you can address the multitude of needs at once, then people are better able to move forward, and I think that's what we need in the schools, and that's going to take a will from the city, from not just from the schools, to get that done. But I think if we are able to get the support services we need, the community support, to make sure that the children, they have every need met, that they have a coat if they're cold, if they have food, if they're able to eat, if they have glasses, so they can see the chalkboard. If we can do that, that is the game changer. I mean, we got to do our part as schools, but we need more if we really want our children to succeed.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? All right. We have a motion on the table to approve planning to develop a third model pre-K site at Casa Azafran in partnership with Conexión Americas. It has been properly seconded. Let me open up these mics so I'll make sure that I capture everything and Ms. Bobo doesn't come after me with a stick. All right. No further discussion. We will go ahead and take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. And before we move into, well, actually, we're going to hold announcements till the very end today, because we're on a roll and I'm just feeling it. And we will move into the director's report. Dr. Register.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We'll be fairly concise with this. I wanted to give you an update since on strategic compensation, because we did have a work session on this fairly recently, and we slowed down the process just a little bit. And I want to ask Susan Thompson to come up and to share a little bit about where we are with this and how the process goes forward. Stephen Henry's also in the room. I see back there Stephen's on our task force. Our task force is continuing to work. Yeah, do we have other members of the task force here? Okay, terrific. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Stand up so we can see you.
Please stand up. Shelley Baldwin, who's president of our Parent Advisory Council, chair of our Parent Advisory Council, and, okay, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. Okay, is that it?
Yeah.
You ready for me?
Yeah, please.
Well, we want you to know that we very much believe in the compensation plan, and there was a great deal of work that was gone in, lots of focus groups. The steering committee spent a lot of time, listened to the focus groups, came back, kept working on it. But as we went out to share what we had for the compensation plan, we just heard a lot of people, a lot of teachers with some serious concerns, some questions about it. So we listened to what they had to say, and we decided out of the four components that we had in the compensation plan, the one that we really wanted to pause on was the evaluation component. We have a new assessment coming in, PARC. We had a slow rollout, but PARC is very unknown. And since that plays a large role in it, we wanted to put a pause on there and tell the teachers, we're listening, we're going to look at that deeper, and that's one thing that we are going to do. But what we did want to do, because the positive feedback was on the other three components as well, we're going to go ahead and move forward with the advanced degrees. We're going to move forward with looking at the differentiated leadership roles that could be compensated. And we're also going to look at a specific strategy for our high-needs schools to recruit and retain in those areas. So that's where we were. We just met last week, all the days run together, with the Strategic Comp Steering Committee, and we're going to move forward with that. We also have put together some focus groups around our evaluation system as well to get more teacher input. We had our first one last night. Some of you were wondering where I was downtown. I was with teachers last night listening to them from our evaluation system. And we have 2 more scheduled this week, tomorrow night and Thursday night, and we've had several that were interested. And so we're putting together feedback from them as we go forward on our evaluation system. So that's it in a nutshell.
Any questions from board members? Thank you, Ms. Thompson.
You're welcome.
Susan, second part of the report, my director's report, is to hand out a revised district calendar. You will note on here, and I'll make a quick remark here that we have put in the snow makeup day, the one day that we have to make up, and have also included the teacher planning day for March 18th. The snow makeup day will be on March 17th, teacher planning day on March 18th, and feel like this will get our instructional day in before testing this year. And this is the intersession week, so there are some modifications to that, but we feel like that will work very well, and this is the best solution for that. The third item on the director's report is one that we'll do very quickly, but I want to ask John Williams to come up and Fred Carr to come up. Metro Council approved a supplemental capital expenditure of $6 million just a few weeks ago, and it really gives us an advantage. It gives us a head start on buying technology for students, and we want to show you what we're buying. And so, John, I'll ask, and also to roll the card out if you can get it, and show you what the mobile technology looks like. It's not mobile right now. But John, I would like for you to just say a word about the technology and the 2 computers that you have up here. This first one is for use in grades, the upper grades, middle school through high school, and the other one is for elementary schools, elementary use. And please talk about how many we've ordered and how they're coming in now.
Okay, how did the...
At the podium, if you don't mind.
Oh.
Thank you.
Sorry. I'm in a hurry. He always gives me 2 minutes, so
I'll give you 3.
Okay, thank you. From the most recent funds thank you for supporting Dr. Register and getting the $6 million. And what we did with that $6 million, I spent about 15 minutes. We purchased 6,180 of the Dell 3330s. That was the first one. And we purchased 3,000 of the Lenovo X131Es. And we purchased 315 cards to house them. That's what we did with the $6 million, which brought us to a grand total this year. Since July 1, the district has purchased 15,918 devices.
So John, if you would, just talk about we feel like, and we continue to get feedback on the fact that we have made smart purchases of the right technology to really put across our district, but talk just a little bit about the car.
I don't want to take credit for that, though, but I will.
Well, Fred gets some credit too. Well, but if you would talk just a little bit about what this mobile cart does and how this is going to work in our district.
First of all, if you remember earlier years in school, you would go in and see a cart, and it would be larger than this, and you couldn't hardly move it around the school if you had to. These carts not only give us the mobility we need because we don't have enough for every classroom to have a cart. So these carts not only, they're easy to, you just slide the computer back in there, one cable into it, and you're charging it. So it's easy to put in and take out, easy for our kids to use them. It also gives us the ability, you see there's a cord on top where we can plug it into the wall and actually do network updates in this cart. So in the after school time, once the carts go back in, any of our network updates we can send out to the devices while they're in the cart. So we don't buy the cheapest stuff around, and I'll tell you that. And we have a great track record here in the district. And the fact that we still have some 7-year-old computers that the district purchased are still in use in this district. Now, they're about to be laid to rest because some of them can't handle Windows 7 updates. But we don't go for the $100 tablet or the $200 Chromebook. You always see the advertising, you can get computers for $200. Well, we don't buy those because I don't want to have to come here every year and say we got to replace the $200 computers because it wasn't durable enough. So thank you for allowing us to invest in the right stuff. And our teachers, they're not magic though, so they won't automatically make grades go up. But what they do provide is they give our teachers what they're asking for to meet their instructional plan. And it's what our kids expect when they walk into a school. They want to see technology. They want to use it. Some of them know more than what the teachers know, but it's a learning environment that they look for when they come. So thank you for helping us do this. Thank you for your continued support of Dr. Register. I march to his music. He says, make it happen. And I'll let him worry about money. He and Chris have done a great job of finding the monies and allowing me to do my job. So I really appreciate that. 2 minutes.
Thanks, Fred. A comment?
Just a comment about last night. Along with the technology, we have to have policies and rules and regulations and teacher training and student training on the use of the technology and the proper use of the technology. Last night, we held a public hearing on an update of our Internet acceptable use policy. You've probably seen in the media where we're opening up for YouTube and Twitter to be used by students and by teachers. That's the big part that made the news, but we've updated our acceptable use policy and are working with teachers and our students to improve how they use technology. So I just wanted to give you an update on that. We, interestingly, Adam Taylor, a teacher at Overton who has addressed you before, came and was the star of the media last night, and we appreciate that. We did not have any parents show up. We advertised it for a week, but didn't have any parents show up, and we are taking that as a positive sign that parents are comfortable that we're making the right choices and our teachers are making the right choices.
Thanks, Fred.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, that concludes.
Any questions for these technology gurus before they get away? And so forth.
Or more.
Or more. Okay, great. Great. Perfect. Thank you.
The recommended deployment of computers was to have enough computers for the largest grade level in the school or the largest department, so that every student could have a computer for use. And I know John's done a really good job of planning, looking at the facilities that we have to make sure that we have carts if they're multi-levels, that they're there. I know John said the one sticking point that we're addressing now is what about providing the carts for mobile classrooms, where we have mobile classrooms, and how do we do that? And they've come up with sounds like a very good plan for being able to do that too, so that children who are in mobile classrooms aren't left out.
Perfect. Ms. Barron?
Dr. Register, when do we anticipate having all the computers in the schools and the carts and ready to go?
They're coming in now, but John can address that. And to answer that, John also, or Fred can, are you going to move or not? No, you can't get by. All right. So I think this cabinet gives us an opportunity bring these things online much quicker. Is that right, Fred? You might want to talk about that.
They're going online right now. We're delivering them to schools. We've asked for both Dell and Lenovo to ship them to us in waves so that we can handle them. We have to unpack each computer, log them into the inventory system, put them in the cart, and set them up electronically. So there's quite a bit of work involved. We will have all of the student machines deployed by August so that all of the student machines will be out there for the start of school next year. But we're deploying them right now.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Fantastic. Thank you, sir. All right. And we will move into committee reports, starting with teaching and learning. Ms. Kim or Ms. Spearing, which one would like to take this?
Yes. Let's see. The Teaching and Learning Committee met on February the 18th with the goal to align our principals with the director's evaluation. But because the director's evaluation may be changing, we decided to wait on that. And in the meantime, we thought that E2, our policies E2 and E12, mostly related to teaching and learning. So Lisa and I are rewriting those now, and then we will get together and share that and be ready to have another committee meeting to present that for everyone's feedback.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Spearing. Dr. Brannon, any updates on naming of schools committee?
Yes, we also met as a naming committee on February 18th, and in addition to the change in the Ironwood building, there was brief discussion on naming a new program in honor of a former educator. The discussion was tabled when Mr. Joe Edgins, Executive Director of Facilities and Operations, provided detailed procedures for naming buildings, parts of buildings, and programs by adding these names to lists. And the list at the present time is very extensive, but following our clarification, 2 additional names of former educators were added to the existing list for future use. The 2 names were Ivanetta Davis. The date on that is December of 2013, and H.D. McDonough of January of 2014. That concludes our committee meeting minutes.
Thank you, Dr. Brannon. Mr. Pinkston, Budget and Finance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A few updates, or one update, and then a few dates on the calendar to look ahead, I should say. Last night, or yesterday afternoon, rather, Dr. Register, Mr. Henson, and a majority of the board joined the Metro Council's Budget and Finance Committee, as well as the Council's Education Committee, to offer a preview of some of the work that we are doing as we work toward preparing the final or proposed budget proposal for the fiscal 2014-15 operating year. Very cordial conversation, lots of good questions from the council members who were in attendance. Those who were not there, I've heard from several of them who saw it on Channel 3 and seemed pleased with the direction we're headed and the information that was provided. So we've got a few other milestones to hit before we finalize the budget proposal. And so the dates to look for going ahead are 1 week from tonight, Tuesday, March 18th. At 5 p.m. Here at Bransford Avenue, the Metro MNPS Budget and Finance Committee will reconvene to begin looking at some more specific numbers and updated numbers that Mr. Henson and his team will provide. Looking ahead, 2 weeks later on Tuesday, April 1st, there will be a public hearing on the budget here in this room, in the boardroom at 5 o'clock. Again, Tuesday, April 1st, 5 o'clock Central Time, public hearing on the budget, immediately followed by a budget committee meeting to continue the conversations. And potentially, we're looking toward Tuesday, April 8th, a week later, advancing the budget proposal to the board for full consideration and final consideration before transmitting it to the mayor. We do have also a tentative date on the calendar for our budget hearing with the mayor. It's April 16th. I believe that the time is 11 a.m., but we will reconfirm that and communicate that. And of course, for those watching or those who are tracking this process, it will be, all of this information will be on the school board's calendar, which you can find at mnps.org. Thank you. That concludes my report.
And one word on the public hearing that'll be held on April 1st. Anyone who wants to speak at that hearing can sign up in advance, or they can sign up as the day of the meeting. Anyone who wants to speak on the budget will have 2 minutes during that presentation to speak. So we just want to make sure that our lovely public knows that they can speak. Thank you, Mr. Pinkston. And I actually do not have a board chair's report tonight. I probably will at our next meeting. So we will start with, let me give you all a nice little spring break present. No meeting on March 25th, no work session. So having said that, Ms. Frog, we'll start with announcements. Do you have any?
Yes. At the next voting meeting, I intend to bring a resolution against the bill for guns in parks as it relates to schools.
Thank you. Mr. Hayes?
I just wanted to thank you for the invitation to the Boy Scouts of America luncheon. It was fantastic. I was blown away by the MNPS student who was the speaker. You're going to know his name and where he went to school.
And I'm not going to know his name,
but he was an exceptional young man.
Yes,
and
he
I was just very delighted to be there and be a part of the afternoon, Mr. Pinkston and Ms. Mays. So.
And I appreciate you joining us. Mr. Pinkston.
Well, likewise, thanks for the invitation to join us, and I will say the Boy Scouts are quite prompt. I've already received my pledge card, and I will remit it promptly. The only other thing I just want to say, which I was remiss in not saying earlier during the business portion of the meeting, is thank you, Conexión Americas and Renata Soto and my friend Steven Zaralik, who's the chair of their board, for being willing to be partners in this new adventure that we're taking in pre-K in South Nashville. So I missed the opportunity to say that earlier, so I wanted to say it now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Shepard.
Yeah, I have a couple. I wanted to mention that I represented our Board of Education at the Labor Management Conference on February 27th and 28th in St. Louis. This conference is sponsored by the Department of Education, and we were the only school district in the state of Tennessee to be invited to attend this conference. And the topic was around Common Core state standards in the park assessment. There were many from Metro Nashville Public School Board of Education there, including Stephen Henry, the MNPS president, Drs. Register, Steele, and Mosley. We had some keen planning time for implementing the processes around Common Core and the park, and we came away with a really good feeling that we are really ahead of the game. So I appreciate the invitation to go to that. I'd like to say thank you to Terry Fletcher, the reading specialist at Tulip Grove Elementary School. Because of the inclement weather, we had to reschedule reading days, and so surprisingly enough, I was able to go on Monday morning and read, and I read to a first grade EL class, and they were absolutely precious. And tomorrow evening will be the second meeting for Tennessee's Chiefs at McGavock High School. We'll be at 5:30 at the cafeteria on the McGavock Pike side, and I look forward to seeing the three young ladies that I'm mentoring, and we have a huge group of students there at McGavock High School. So if you're listening and you're a mentor, please make a note and be there tomorrow at 5:30. That's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Kim? Ms. Spearing?
Yes, thank you. Excuse me. This past week, the chorus at Hunter's Lane performed at the Ryman Auditorium with another group called Nashville in Harmony. And I want to give a shout out to Chuck Brown for establishing this partnership. And like Ms. Shepard, even though we had all those snow days last week and really missed Reading Across America Day, I did get to read to a second grade group at East End Prep and in Elmira College. And I want to thank Jessica Talbot for arranging the Celebrity Day at East End Prep. The kids were excited. They all, well, not all of them, but several of them wrote to me and thanked me for that. And it was very good writing. So thank you.
Dr. Brennan.
Yes. I just want to remind graduating seniors of the opportunity to apply for the ExxonMobil Ben Harris Award Scholarship in Math and Science. This scholarship is $5,000 for 2 African Americans and 2 Hispanic students, 2 females, 2 males, across the country, for all students or systems who are a part of the Council of Great City Schools. The deadline is April 7th. You may apply online at the www.cgcs.org. And also, I'd like to congratulate all of the football athletes who were honored at the awards banquet sponsored by the Middle Tennessee chapter of the National Football Foundation last week. We're proud of each of our high school representatives who have shown great leadership and good character, both on and off the field. Our representatives were from Antioch, David Young; from East, Brandon Van Leer; from Hillsborough, Porter Streeter III; from Hillwood, DeMarcus Watts; from Hunters Lane, Tyler Bennett; from Maplewood, William Earl Porter; from McGavitt, Ronald Elliott; from Overton, Kevin Scott; from Pearl-Cohn, Hayden Gregory; from Stratford, Terrence Valentine; and from Whites Creek, Leon Monjet.
We had one from Cane Ridge, but I can't recall his name. Yeah, we had another student from Cane Ridge. But thank you. And I have just a few announcements. Look at that clock, 6:51. I rock. Just saying. Okay, I've had a great couple of weeks, and I will start with Music in Our Schools bus tour visited Antioch High School this past week, and the wind ensemble performed very beautifully, as they always do. They also had a special guest, which was Danielle Bradbury, who was the winner of The Voice. And during her performance, which was absolutely phenomenal, she is a fantastic singer. Dr. Koger was also presented with a $1,000 check for the music education program at Antioch High School. And our Representative Sherry Jones also showed up with a proclamation for the school, so it was a really great day. Also, I was able to participate. Knowledge Academies, one of the charters in my district, had a fundraiser this weekend for their school, and their parent council had this phenomenal event. It was a bazaar, really great jewelry. I had an opportunity to talk to some of the most engaged, informed parents that I have ever talked to in quite some time. So they were pretty fantastic. And that was a really good experience. Also, I had an opportunity to hang out with 750 of the cutest kids I've ever seen in my life at AZ Kelly. They dedicated their new 12 classroom wing, and they sang their alma mater, and it brought tears to several people. Miss Still was there. She sat right next to me. We were all crying like babies, but they were the most beautiful kids that I had ever seen, and they love, love, love their school. And so it's something about spending time with kids in their own setting that gets your day going. And I said it several times that day. That was the best part of my day, and it was fantastic. A couple of other things. As a reminder, one more time, no work session on the 25th, so you guys, happy spring break. Also, 11th Annual Southeast Easter Egg Event is happening on April 12th in Antioch. It will be at the Donaldson Pike Metro Soccer Field, and that's from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And this thing has grown out of control. We started with just a few kids, and now it's up to some 10,000 kids from around the entire county. So that's a pretty good event, and it's pretty awesome. So I think that's it. I think that's it. Micah Joseph Kennedy at Cane Ridge was represented at the National Football Foundation event. Thank you. He was awesome. So now my principal, Miss Wall, will still love me. Any other announcements or information? Ms. Frogue.
There being no further business